Hello everyone, my name is Petrus Coetzee. I am the principal violist of the Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra. Firstly, I would like to thank Re-energizing for starting up this incredible initiative called the South African String Convention and for inviting me to be part of the faculty for this year. I've decided to talk about body and postural awareness. This is something that I became familiar with during my studies in Germany. At some point during my studies, I experienced a lot of lower back pain issues, probably because of many hours sitting in an orchestra or simply practicing on my own for hours and hours with a bad postural awareness. So eventually I decided to take up a course in Berlin, which consisted out of a combination of things such as Alexander technique, body and awareness training, musician coaching, mental training and stage presence. I ended up learning a lot more than just resolving my lower back pain issues. And nowadays I implement these things in my teaching and also simply when I have to prepare for a performance and while I'm on stage. This helps me to keep focused, it helps me to be energized, and it simply assures for a fantastic music making experience on stage. In this video I would like to share with you some of the skills that I've learned. Body and postural awareness can be quite a broad topic, but I've decided to keep it short and just point out a few things that I've benefited from. So at some point in our lives we all come to realize that the body and the mind are two separate entities. But what is more interesting is how they interact with one another and how they are dependent on one another. It is obvious that something as simple as, for example, the movements that we make with our bodies are controlled by the mind. But very often it is underestimated what effects psychological issues and experiences can have on the functioning and mobility of the body. A very common example in our profession is the effect of stage fright. No matter how well we can play a piece, stage fright can ruin it all. Stage fright is a psychological condition that occurs when our mind is overwhelmed with destructive thoughts of pessimism towards ourselves. And in an automatic attempt to defend ourselves, this psychological condition takes control of the body by tensing up all the muscles and losing awareness of the body. A more specialized example is sound production. In order to produce a free-flowing resonant sound, we need a certain level of relaxation and permeability in our bodies. Not just with slow, long note passages, but also with faster, more challenging passages. All the parts of the body needs to contribute to achieve this goal. For example, when our whole body is relaxed, but our shoulders are tensed, the chances of creating the optimal sound is quite small. So just like our psychological state can influence the control that we have over our bodies, we can reverse this effect by exercising awareness in our body that will have a calming effect on our brain. This will boost our confidence and make us feel that we are actually fully in control of the situation that we find ourselves in. I will now discuss and demonstrate a few exercises that will help to create a better sense of awareness in the body. Just like we practice our instruments, these exercises need to be practiced on a regular basis and incorporated in the music making experience. Before I start showing you the exercises, I would like to point out a few things about them. These exercises aren't meant to build any muscle in your body. They're simply to help you create more awareness, to open up the sensory channels from the brain to your different body parts. Therefore, it is also important that these exercises are done on a regular basis. You won't benefit from them when you do it in a panic state just before a concert. These exercises don't need to be done in this specific order. You can take them apart or combine them as you like and do them at different times. When we are stressed, our energy rises to the upper part of our body, and this causes that our upper body goes out of hand quite easily. Therefore, in the exercises, we like to focus on the base of our body a lot, starting from the feet, rising to the knees, to the hips, to the upper body and the shoulders. So the first exercise is one that I've learned quite recently from a physiotherapist, and it helps me to feel grounded with the floor. So we start by placing our feet hips distance apart and feeling the contact of the soles of the foot to the floor, especially the contact of the bigger toes, the smaller toes, and the heels. We place our hands together, close our eyes, and slowly move down towards the floor. Very slowly. Until we go as far as we can go, and then we push ourselves up through the soles of the feet, feeling the energy through the legs. And I would repeat this at least 3 times to get a good effect. The next exercise helps us to gain awareness of the very lower core muscles called the stabilizers. It is important to do this exercise firstly with the help of a physiotherapist or with someone that is experiencing this exercise. It is important not to tighten the lower back muscles, therefore we start by placing the left hand underneath the lower back, a little bit lifted from the floor. With the right hand fingertips, we touch the very lower core muscles to feel that they are activated. We start by lifting one leg at a time into a tabletop position, and then tapping each leg on the floor whilst keeping the other leg stable with the stabilizing muscles. It is quite helpful to imagine that you have 2 wine glasses balancing on each knee top to keep them stable. I like to do these exercises quite often. I repeat the tapping 10 times. The next exercise is actually a type of meditation. It's called Autogenic training, and it helps you to get relaxed and become aware of all the parts of the body. There are several videos online on YouTube about it. So we start, you can do it either in a lying down position or sitting or standing. Lying down is probably the best, but I like to do it also sitting. So I make sure that I sit properly on a chair with my feet both on the floor and my hands resting on my knees. The whole exercise takes about 10 minutes, so I'll just quickly talk through everything. I close my eyes and I become aware of my breathing. Breathing in through my nose slowly and out. Repeat this a couple of times. The next step is to take each ligament by itself, focusing on the right foot first, keeping all your perception into the leg, focusing all your perception into the leg, trying to relax it as much as possible, creating the feeling of your legs sinking into the floor. Before I go on to the next leg, I like to take a few more breaths again, becoming aware of the breath, the air moving through your nose into your lungs, in slowly and out. Then focusing on the next leg, thinking about the relaxation, the legs sinking into the floor, repeating it to yourself again, thinking that the leg is very, very heavy. Another breathing routine before moving on to the right arm, focusing on relaxing the arm here, into the wrist, especially making sure that the arm and the muscles are completely passive and very heavy. Thinking about the shoulder, relaxing, then moving on to the left arm, eventually perceiving the whole body as very heavy and relaxed. Everything inactive, all the muscles passive. This puts one almost in a trance-like state where you are very quiet and relaxed, and you become more aware of the sounds that are around you, but keep focusing on the breathing. Eventually the exercise ends with opening the eyes, stretching your body, and just feeling awake. So after I've done the meditative and very relaxing exercise, I like to put energy back into my body so that I can be active and focused. So I start again from the base, in a standing position. I think about the contact of my feet, the soles of my feet to the floor, thinking about the bigger toes, the smaller toes, and the heels. Moving upwards to the knees, making sure that my knees are fluffy. I imagine this warm, woolly feeling in my knees. Then I move more upwards to my core, activating the core muscles that I've exercised before, thinking about the back, not bending forwards or backwards, but keeping it straight. Moving upwards to my lungs, opening up the chest, pulling the shoulders back, breathing deeply into the lungs. Then, after all, thinking about the spine that is going from the bum into the skull, that it's one unit, and that the whole body is permeable. Then I like to do some rotation movements, keeping the core focused and active, almost like I'm playing tennis, swinging my hand, keeping my eye also on my hand for this movement. And it's the same movement that I have for bowing, actually, so that's very helpful. Then I think about my eyes, I make contact with everything around me, and it sharpens my awareness. Eventually you'll realize that your voice tone is much more resonant, and this is the checkpoint where you know that you've done everything good. I feel very focused and energized now, and ready to play a concert. I've hoped that you've learned a lot from my exercises. Please message me if you have any questions or whether you would like some help. Thank you very much for listening.